Welcome in to Moving the Change, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Drell Hendricks. Got a great interview on today, very special guest, the new head coach of the 96 Wildcats, Mathew Bennett. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. Had first 7-on-7 this morning, so just watching some tape and I'm sitting here in my office. I'm shut up in my. I got the door shut. If nobody walks by, they'll never know I'm in here. I'm in a good little hiding space.
Well, there you go. We appreciate your time today. We really do. If this is you guys first time tuning in, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Movin Chains, and our website, movinchains.com. That's movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Bennett was hired in March. He's been the co-offensive coordinator and offensive line coach at Clinton for the past 4 seasons. Prior to that, he coached at Woodmont, Westwood, and Bowling Springs. Coach, let's just start with this. I saw you've called this your dream job. You know, what makes it so special and how excited are you to get rolling here with the Wildcats?
Well, it's a dream job for a lot of different reasons. One of which, when last offseason, I went and I sat down with Dr. Dean at York. Their offensive line coach wanted me to come there and talk offensive line, talk run game stuff. And so we did. And Dr. Dean was there. I didn't even know Dr. Dean was going to be there. And I don't know if y'all have had a chance to have Dr. Dean on, but that would be y'all need to block out like 3 hours and just let him go. That would be he's the best. But Dr. Dean was there. And since I was there, I said, you know what? I've known Dr. Dean for a few years. I said, this would be a great time for me to pick his brain because he's been a successful head coach. He's been at different places. So I said, Dr. Dean, what? I said, I'm looking in the future, you know, when it's time to take the right head job. I said, you've been in a long time, Coach. What do I need to do? Dr. Dean jumped up on that whiteboard like we were about to do a clinic talk, and he took an expo marker. He said, Coach, there's 4 things that are non-negotiable that I would tell anybody to look for. He said, number 1, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is administration. You want to have a great administration that's supportive of athletics and supportive of your vision for the football program. He said, number 2, he said, probably at the end of the day, it's definitely most important on the field. He said, but for your overall happiness, number 2 is players. He said, you better have players or it ain't going to matter. Number 3 is a supportive community, which 96 has in droves. And the 4th one was the ability to hire coaches. 96, I think, there was actually 5. I left one off. The 5th one was tradition. He said, it doesn't matter when that tradition was. He said, but if there's some at some point, then you got something you can draw back to. So those were his 5 things. Well, I kind of put that checklist anytime there was a job that I would think like, hey, you know, I might look into this one. You know, obviously I talked to my wife. I talked to Coach Fountain. 96 checks all those boxes. We got a great administration here, great superintendent, great support at the district and at the school level. I mean, I got a small staff comparatively speaking to the bigger schools, but I mean to a high school, I got 7 assistants and they're all in the building. And that's super rare and an awesome thing. I was able to hire 2 guys. I was able to bring in 2 guys that I think really help fit the mold for what we're trying to do here. Very fortunate. So we got those boxes checked. Super supportive community. Yeah, we got that. And when I watched the tape from last year's team and saw who was returning, there's players here. So we were able to check all those boxes. 96 is, and you got to remember, I'm a Gaffney boy. I'm from Gaffney, so football town. All right. The last 4 years have been a dream working at Clinton, football town. 96, in its history, has been a football town. The tradition's there, the foundation's there. It had all the bones of what you want in a program that's ready to take the next step. And I think it was the perfect job for me, and super glad that I got it, and really appreciate Dr. Taylor and Mr. Rice and Coach Works for selecting me, because there were some great candidates for this job, and I think it's the right place at the right place at the right time. And it is a dream job to be in a small town. I told them in the first round of interviews, they said, what does it mean to be the head football coach at 96 High School? And I said, well, I can tell you this. When I was a kid growing up in Gaffney, if the mayor of Gaffney walked into the restaurant or Coach Joe Montgomery walked in the restaurant, nobody talked to the mayor. Everybody knew who the head football coach was. I said, so I take that title very seriously. So a place like that is football town, small town USA. It's a great fit, and we're super excited and love the direction that our kids are going in right now.
So, Coach, obviously you've been successful in your coaching career, and you earned that opportunity there at 96. If you don't mind, for the viewers and the listeners, talk about how you got started and the steps you've taken to get to this point.
Well, every interview I've ever done, I've told the guys, like, I was not a good athlete, football player. I wasn't a good athlete in anything I did. I growing up, tried it all. But I was very fortunate to have adults and coaches that poured into me regardless of that fact. And one of those was my middle school coach, Rick Phillips. He got me in the door. He asked me to come to the weight room. I'd graduated, and he got me to come in. He'd had shoulder surgery, and to show the kids how to lift, because despite the fact as fat as I am now, I used to be fairly decent in the weight room. It's probably the best place I was the best. And I went, and then I went the next day, and then I went the third day, and then I went the fourth day, and then I went the second week. And then by the end of the summer, Coach Phillips said they were getting ready to have their first little coaches meeting, getting ready for practice. And he said, what size shirt you wear? And at that time, it was a 2X. Now, we've moved up in the world. But I said, 2X, why? He said, why don't you just coach the offensive line? And I said, sure. I didn't have anything. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was going to the Spartanburg Community College. They had a campus right there in Gaffney, and I went in Spartanburg. And, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, yeah, I got time. So I worked for my mom and my dad in their business. So I had a schedule that I could make it work. And that turned into 5 years. I coached at Ewing Middle School for 5 years. And through that time, I also changed majors a ton. So my last 2 years, that's 7 for those of y'all keeping count at home, my last 2 years, making it 7 total to get that 4-year degree. I made up for it because I got my master's in less than 18 months.
There we go.
But in the last 2 years, I went to Boiling Springs High School. My mom and dad were living in Spartanburg, and I was driving from Spartanburg. I was still living with them. I was driving from Spartanburg to Gaffney to coach. And I had a class with a guy. He's still coaching at Boiling Springs. His name's Matt Gosa. I had a class with Coach Gosa, and Boiling Springs had a little bit of turmoil with staff change, and they were looking for more coaches. And he said, man, we need another offensive line coach. You need to go talk to Coach Tate. Well, something about him saying that just grabbed me, because I left the class that day, got in the car, drove to Boiling Springs High School. I didn't even know what Coach Tate looked like. I had to Google imaging. I looked up Coach Tate, so I knew who I was looking at. I walked in the front office of Boiling Springs High School. They're not even in that building anymore. I walked in the front door and said, hey, is your head football coach here? And they said, yeah. They kind of looking at me like, what the? And they called him up there. I went down to the office, talked with him. And I spent 2 years there, and really enjoyed our time there. I finished my degree. Coach Tate was great to work for. Worked for a phenomenal offense coordinator, Travis Miller. Learned a ton of football from him. He's the head coach at Wade Hampton. worked under a great AD, Hal McManus. That staff was really good, really strong, a lot of experience that I got to be around. And when I graduated college, I thought I was ready to spread my wings a little bit. So I went to Westwood High School and worked for Dustin Curtis. It was his first year as a head coach. Matt Quinn was the offense coordinator. Me and him both went to Columbia at the same time. We worked together and developed a lifelong friendship with Matt Quinn. You know, he and I are still really tight. Love him and Megan and their two youngins. But after a year, Matt took the head job at Union Pines in North Carolina, and I hated living in Columbia. So I got my friend Coach Dockel, who now works with us at 96. Coach Dockel calls me and says, "Hey, Coach Turner," talking about Jet Turner. He said, "Coach Turner," they were at Broome. He said, "Coach Turner's going to take the Woodmont job." I said, "Okay." He said, "We need coaches." And I was like, well, Greenville's a lot closer. You know, Woodmont's in Pelzer, West Georgia Road, you know, Piedmont, Pelzer area. That's a whole lot closer to the upstate where I'm from than Columbia is. So I said, "Yeah, tell Coach Turner, call me and we'll get together." So I interviewed with Coach Turner at the February clinic and was able to get back to the upstate. Spent 2 years with him there, and man, getting to watch or be a small part of Jet Turner turning around a program is life changing. He's as good as they come. You know, his health taking him out of the game leaves a big void in the game because Coach Turner's he's good as gold. And in our second year at Woodmont, we were playing for a region title. We host a home playoff game, first time in a long time. Then the Clinton job came open, and Coach Fountain got it. And I was standing in my apartment with my girlfriend then, now wife, and she's a big Carolina fan. I'm a Clemson fan, have been my whole life. And we were standing there talking, and Coach Caldwell at Clemson called me. And I look at my phone. She was talking. I said, "Oh, baby, the national champs are calling." she loved that. But Coach Caldwell, he's great. I talked to him. He said, "Hey, Coach, hey, listen now. My boy got the Clinton job. Needs him OL guy." He said, "Think you ought to go down there and talk to him." He said, "But I told him I'd call you first." He said, "Because y'all got it rolling at Woodmont now. I know you bring a lot back, all that." And I said, "Yeah, Coach." Because my wife at that home playoff game, she had come home we got beat by Gaffney. Gaffney was 9-1 and finished third, and got to go on the road to Piedmont, which they loved. So Gaffney had more fans than we did. And it was the first home playoff game in a long time. And my wife told me that night, she said, "You need to look for a change of scenery." See, my girlfriend now, she's my wife now. I can't stop calling her my wife. If I ever do, she'll get crazy. But she is the driving force in getting me to go to Clinton because I knocked it out of the park marriage-wise, guys. I married a coach's daughter.
There you go.
Perfect.
She gets it. She gets the hours. She's the best. She's the best part of my day. I love her to death. She said, "Matt, when I was a little girl and my dad coached at BHP, the place I liked to go the least was to Clinton." And I said, "Well, there's a lot to that." I said, "So I'll go talk to Coach Fountain." So I didn't know Coach Fountain from Adams House Cat. All I knew about him was he won a bunch of games at Lamar, and his sister married below her means because his brother-in-law is Justin Crocker. And I know Croc real good. So that the first time I ever talked to him, I told him that. He laughed. Thank God. He understood my sense of humor. But me and Crocker are buddies, so I did know that about him. I went and met with him, and I could tell from the time I sat down in the coach's office with him that Coach Fountain, he is a dude. He's that guy. I said, "This guy's going to flip this thing around quick." I said, I think we can do some really special things here. Got interviewed, got the job, went down there. He gave me the co-OC deal and coached the offensive line. And we tweaked his offense a little bit from Lamar, him and Coach Alexander, and, added some things because going from 1A to 3A, we had more numbers. We had some more moving pieces. But the bones of the offense is his. And our first year, we were 4-7. They were 2-8 the year before we got there. We went 4-7 the first year, and then the COVID year went 3-3, missed the playoffs because we lost one game on a blocked field goal that was about as long as an extra point. Broom blocked it and did a great job. Coach Fleming also went for 2 to take the lead in that game, which kudos to him. And then we lost at Union in a game where we score the go-ahead touchdown. It gets called back for a penalty. We end up not scoring. They take the ball, drive it down, score, and win. So we lost 2 games like that. If we win one of those, we're in the dance. But they only took the top 2. The team that finished second that year was Woodruff, and we beat them pretty good. But didn't matter because we lost those games. But we started figuring ourselves out a little bit in that 3-3 year. Well, then the third year we go out and we go 11-2. We get beat in the third round by Daniel on their way to winning back-to-back. And then last year, the thing I'm most proud of that team last year is when we went 11-2, we kind of snuck up on people. People didn't, except for Tad DeBose at Emerald. Tad DeBose at Emerald tried to tell everybody at the clinic how good we were going to be, and I was like, Coach, come on, what are we doing?
Be a surprise. Hold on now.
Yeah, it's a whole lot easier to jump out and surprise people. But I tell my kids at 96 all the time, I said, getting good's not hard. Staying good's hard. So when you come off an 11-2 year, we start the preseason, we're in top 10, all that deal. Well, then that group came out and went 13-1, and we didn't sneak up on anybody. We took everybody's best shot every week and came out with the first undefeated regular season at Clinton in a long time. Coach Fountain's got a list of all the offensive records we broke. It's that group's really special, and we lost to a really good. We played our worst half of football all year in the second half of the Upper State Championship, and a lot of that's because Powdersville was dang good. We lost, but it was a great experience, and I will always love our time in Clinton. And my wife can ride that one for a long time. She nailed it. She was 100% right on that, and that's kind of how we got to here.
Well, Coach, this being your first head coaching gig here, what type of schemes do you guys plan on running on offense and defense? And then will you call plays for the offensive side of the ball as well?
Yeah, so offensively, we're running the same offense we ran at Clinton. As far as I changed some things terminology-wise just because it made more sense in my brain. But the structure of the offense is the same. Now, the thing about the offense that I love is it's adaptable to what you got. So we're not going to look exactly like Clinton because, we ain't got Bryson James for one.
Yeah, that's true.
We got some good young ones. I think Mike could one day be that kind of kid. But, to have – the offense at Clinton, to have Joshawn Copeland, a 1,200-yard back, and Bryson, a 1,500-yard back, and Jaden Robinson, who's coming back, who nobody ever talks about, had the quietest 1,100 yards in the history of football. Having a three-headed monster like that in the backfield and then Austin, before he got hurt at quarterback, who was the fourth on the 4x4 team, those were the other 3. And then when he got hurt, Andy B's, Coach Young's grandson, Bryce, come in and stepped in and filled in phenomenally as far as distributing the ball and managing the offense and making some big throws that he didn't get enough credit for. And then have Austin's twin brother out here wide, Justin, having Caden Crawford, who's a dog at tight end. That offense, when you added in my 5 big guys up front, it was fun. And that's what we're trying to get here. We have similar personnel. There's a lot of running backs. We got some slot receivers that have been adjusted to be more wing backs, but we can get those guys the ball in a variety of different ways. So that's the reason I love this offense. And me and Coach Fountain and Coach Alexander, man, we've been in the weeds the last 4 years. I mean, we've got this thing. we've worked on it a lot is what I'm saying. It's an ever-changing deal with all the different things you can do, but the big thing is you can fit it to what you got. So, if we don't got any receivers, we got 2 tight ends, we can get in double tight. We ain't got to change a whole lot. So we're going to do that offensively. Defensively, I'm really fortunate. Got Trip Henderson, defense coordinator, stayed on. Trip's been in it a long time. He's coached in every defense that exists because he's been in it so long. And my big thing with him was I told him the first time we met, I said, don't tell me what we're going to run on defense because I don't want to know until I see what kind of kids we got. So I think we're going to end up being a base, I think we're going to base out of a 3-4. But the good thing about a 3-4 is it can become a 4-2-5 pretty quick. So we're able to move some people around. I think we're going to move some more people around today after 7-on-7. After I got done watching that tape, we're going to have to maybe adjust some living arrangements. But we're going to be pretty multiple on defense. And I'm going to call the offense, but I'm super fortunate there because I got the offensive coordinator for the last couple of years for Coach Owens, Chad Ellis, our head baseball coach. He's coaching our quarterbacks, and he's back. He's got play calling experience, and I got Coach Dockel, who I hired away from Blacksburg. When Coach Turner had to get out of it, Coach Dockel's only ever coached for Coach Turner. So I was really fortunate to able to get him. He's coaching our wings, and he's got play calling experience. So we and then ain't got a ton of Friday night play calling experience, but Nick Long, my assistant head coach, our receivers coach, he's got a great mind for the game. So I got a lot of help on the offensive side of the ball. They can fix my mistakes. But I'm calling because I know the offense better than they do.
So, Coach Bennett, when you were talking earlier about your advice that you received from Dr. Boyd in identifying a program that you wanted to go to, you mentioned tradition. And this program is one that has a lot. They've won 5 state championships, but they've had a few rough seasons by their standards. What are some of the things that you need to change to get them back to that championship level?
Well, the big things we've been preaching this summer and during the spring is and it's something that we're seeing more of. The kids are getting better, and you'll hear it's coach speak, but it's the truth. Finishing a drill. If we tell you to run 10 yards, don't run 9.5. Starting, and they've been great at this. I have not had to get on about this since very early in the spring, but something as simple as toes behind the line before we start. Little things like that. And one of the biggest compliments I think that I've gotten so far was yesterday. No, what's the day? Tuesday? It was 2 days ago. Sunday. Braden Mitchell, our quarterback, who's a stud, went to Wofford, and Coach Doolittle's son is on staff at Wofford. And he and I talked for a minute. He said, "Coach, I really appreciate what you're doing." He said, "Because you're doing the right things. Toes behind the line, taking pride in your community. We do a lot of different community service things. I'm very serious about that because I think if you don't love where you're from, you can't play for it. I think if it doesn't mean a little something to you, then you're not going to give everything you got. So we're trying to establish a little bit of community pride, and just do the little things right and finish everything we do at a championship level effort, a fanatical effort. That's the kind of things I think we got to see here. One of the reasons they hired me, and they've told me this, is because of discipline. As far as that, I'm pretty serious about it. And I think if you asked our players, they would tell you that they're slowly figuring that out. I'm pretty serious about discipline. And we said this at Clinton all the time. One of my favorite things that Clinton has is they call their football team the pride of Clinton. And we took that as an offensive line group and really loved it. I had it put on the shoulders of our offensive line shirts, the pride of Clinton, because I want the football program at 96 to be the pride of 96. I want the football players to be our best foot forward. When we go out and play, I want everybody to know this is the best we got, because we're not putting anybody out there that doesn't have the best interest of 96 at heart. So just things like that we kind of harp on a pretty good bit, but that's what we want. And saying the best of 96, it doesn't necessarily mean being the best athlete. It's going to be the best kids that we know we can trust out there, because there's a lot of good athletes out there that'll get you beat because they get selfish. They play for themselves. They don't play for the team. We're going to put the best product on the field possible from a character and athletic standpoint.
Coach, you've mentioned a few guys already, but who are some special guys coming back that we should really be on the lookout for here in the 23 season?
Braden Mitchell, quarterback, he is fun to coach. It's not every day that you get your first head coaching job and you inherit a 6'2", 200-pound quarterback that runs like a 4'9". I mean, he is a stud. He's really special, and he means a lot to this program, and the program means a lot to him, which is more important. He wants to see this thing better. He wants to leave it better than he found it. He's a guy, man. I can't say enough good things about Braden. He's a leader. He does it the right way. You never have to worry about him. He's one that's the senior class. There's some really good seniors that are sticking it out and going to play for us. Ladarian Waldrop's a really good receiver. We got a kid back out that hadn't played since the 8th grade named Evan Adams that everybody said was the best athlete in the school. He's a basketball guy, baseball guy. He's been back out. He made a lot of plays today in 7-on-7. Those guys are all pretty special. Offensive line-wise, we got Bryson Childs up front. He was their starting center last year. I've moved him to a guard, but he's our spiritual leader. He gets to pick who prays every day. Reverend Childs. He's a good one. He's trying to learn how to lead. Bryant Witherspoon, he played a lot for him last year, and those are all seniors. Now we got some underclassmen that are they're going to be pretty good. They're going to be pretty solid. There's too many of them to name. Without leaving somebody out. And I don't want to do that and hurt their feelings. Them seniors, they kind of know the deal. But and Jaden Hackett, I can't forget Jaden Hackett. He's another senior that selfless. He was a receiver. I moved him tight end. He's playing tight end, outside linebacker. He's probably my favorite play since I've been here that we got on tape in our spring game. We break a long run and it's a touchdown. It's if you pause the tape and don't see Jaden Hackett coming, like, it's a touchdown. But Jaden never quit on that play, and he runs our running back down, tackles us at the 2-yard line from the backside, just not giving up on a play. Like, that's the kind of effort that we like to highlight. So we got some good seniors. I mean, there's some solid kids in this group.
So, Coach, you wrapped up spring ball a couple of weeks ago. You're into the 7-on-7 season, off-season programs. What have you learned about this team so far, and what are you looking to accomplish throughout the rest of the summer before you get into fall camp?
Well, one thing I've learned is a lot of them go to the beach at the same time. That first week we had and we still had decent numbers, but we were looking around. And I was like, "Where's this kid? Where's this kid?" I mean, a bunch of our dudes. And I was like, God dang, they all go to the beach together. Like, no, but I've got a resilient group of youngins. They've been through a lot. The senior class has been through a lot from a program standpoint. And they've kind of had the ebbs and flows, but they're resilient because we've thrown a lot at them. And that was Coach Turner taught me at Woodmont, because he kept the defensive staff when we got to Woodmont. He kept all those guys, and he told me, he said, "You remember this when you get your first head job. If you're going to scorch the earth on offense, you better keep the defense the same." And offensively, I've thrown a lot at them in the weight room and in the conditioning part. We've thrown a lot at them, and they'll compete. They'll get out there, and they don't. The first team meeting, I told them I didn't want guys that shied away from competition and shied away from work. We want to run to work, and that's kind of our little catchphrase is RTW. We run to work. We want to find the work. We want to be guys that don't walk by trash in the hallway. We want to pick trash up in the hallway. You know, we don't want to just, somebody else will get it. No, we're going to do it. You know, we're trying to run to work instead of run away from it. And the guys have really attacked the summer pretty well. I can't be anything but pleased with it.
Coach, you know, you're very active in, you know, clinics and, you know, social media chats, things like that. How important is that to kind of continue to hone your craft and then really better your program through learning so much?
Well, I mean, I think that you never know too much to learn something else. I think the most, and I said this on another podcast, and it's the truth, the most dangerous phrase in business, athletics, education, the most dangerous phrase, one of the most dangerous phrases in the English language is, this is the way we've always done it. So I try my best. Now I've got, just like every other coach, I got some things that I like them done a certain way, but I like to go see how other people do them. And I can't walk around and think that I know better than somebody else just because. Like, so I want to know why people do things this way. And, you know, I think you got to be a lifelong learner to be good in this profession. Because now, I mean, it's 2023, man. You're competing with everything in the world. They got the whole world in their pocket. So you got to be able to adapt on the fly, and you got to go out and see how other people do things. So like the Hog football chat that I do, I try to jump on there on Monday some. I used to do it a whole lot, but you read the answers to some of those questions, and you're getting college guys, high school guys, middle school guys from all across the country. That's a wealth of information that anybody can have. Going to clinics, I love going to clinics, and I've been fortunate to speak at some. I like to speak, but I love sitting in the crowd. I love taking notes, listening to guys. Because if you're not, you're either getting better or getting worse. There's no such thing as staying the same. So, and the only way that I know how to do this thing is to try to continuously get better and keep pushing the envelope. And Coach Fountain, and I can tell you a million different things that makes him a rock star, and I certainly appreciate all he's done for my career. One of the most poignant phrases he ever said was, he was talking to another head coach, and he was talking about off-season program stuff. And man, at Clinton, we grinded, man. That was the thing. Like, you knew we got beaten up state championship Friday. We took up equipment Monday. We were lifting Tuesday. I mean, that was the deal. And it was the same. Daniel, we got beat by Daniel in third round the year before. That next week, we back to it. The coach he was talking to said, "Coach, do you worry about your kids being burnt out?" And Coach Fountain said, "Well, to burn out, that means I've lit a fire under them." And he said, "And if I've lit a fire under them, then we got a chance." So I look at it that way: is you got to constantly be willing to push that envelope, and willing to just keep trying to better yourself, because you owe that to the kids that are playing for you.
Coach, offensive linemen are like the lifeblood of the team, and offensive line coaches are just a different breed. What unique perspective do you bring having that background to being a head coach of a high school football team?
Well, the thing that, and it goes back to, this isn't just Coach Fountain. I've done it with Travis Miller too. Like, you got your quarterback guys, and quarterback guys, Coach Fountain's really good about, he likes to run the ball. And obviously Jet loved to run the ball. Travis liked to run the ball too, even though we were spread. But Travis could get on the board. He'd draw all these great routes. Man, we out here in 7-on-7, we roasting people. But as an offensive line coach, your first question better be, well, how are we going to block this? How many can we block? Are we keeping the back in? Are we sending the back out? Like, I think as an offensive line coach, you have a unique perspective of being able to build this thing inside out. And if you go back football as long as you want to, but go back to Nick Saban at Alabama. Coach Saban built that machine from the inside out on offensive and defensive lines. And then those skill guys, they hopped in the boat after he got all these dudes up front. You know, being able to look at offense a little bit different than most guys that are play callers or head coaches, because my number one thing is, hey, what are we really good at up front? Well, let's try to base everything around that instead of we got this receiver, that quarterback. Like, start, you know, keep the main thing the main thing. There's more offensive linemen on the field in any play than there are any other position. So you better take care of them big guys.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
I love it. Well, Coach, we've got a couple easier ones here for you now. So obviously you've coached in some really big time, like you said, football towns, you know, and obviously growing up in Gaffney as well. Maybe what's a couple of the coolest or, you know, most fun atmospheres you had a chance to either play in or coach in your time so far?
Oh, man, I didn't know this question was coming, but I got this answer ready. There is – when I was working at Woodmont, Coach Dockel played at Clover, so we would always go back and forth at Clover, Gaffney, talk a little trash. And Coach Turner said one time, he said, y'all talk about this Clover, Gaffney, all this stuff. He said, y'all ain't coached in a big-time football game. He said, Coach, Ware Shoals versus 96 when both of them are good. He said, that's big-time football. They ain't a seat in the house. They're hanging. They're hanging from the dang rafters. He said, that's big-time football. Well, I understood that when I walked out in our third year at Clinton. When I walked out onto the field at Casey Hanna Stadium against Lawrence, because I did not know how bad them two hated each other until I coached in the rivalry. The whole county's there. That's a really cool atmosphere. But my favorite place to coach in my time at Clinton, other than Wilder Stadium, because Wilder Stadium's a great home field advantage. When you break a long run, you can feel the noise behind you. It's almost like it's going to knock you out onto the field. But the other rivalry in Clinton is Woodruff. Coaching at Woodruff is a great atmosphere and a great place to coach. And I ain't going to lie, it's a little bit better when you beat them. Because Woodruff, I don't know if y'all been to Woodruff, but, I mean, the fans, they can almost reach out and touch you. They're on top of you. That's a great atmosphere. I like going when I was at Clinton. I enjoyed, you know, being a Gaffney boy. It's not too far, close quarters, I guess. I enjoyed going to the fairgrounds at Union and coaching there. But when I was at Clinton, my two favorite places to coach, beyond a shadow of a doubt, were Wilder Stadium and at Varner in Woodruff. Those were two awesome places, and I can't wait to get out in front of the crowd here at Wilson Campbell Stadium, because from what I understand, they pack it out pretty good.
Well, this next question is for that. When we go down there to get to the stadium, we get to that 96 area. Where are some restaurants that we need to hit before we get to the ball field?
Oh, man. Well, I don't know if anybody's give y'all the beat on me or not, but if there's one thing I can tell you, I can either tell you where to go eat or I can call somebody that can tell you where to go eat.
My man.
Here in 96, Derek's Cafe, very good. Johnny's Cheeseburger House, obviously, very good. The Cheeseburger House, their burger's good, but their wings are dang good. So that's kind of a little curveball you wouldn't expect. Derek's, I like going to Derek's at lunchtime and get a fried bologna sandwich, because you ain't never too good to eat fried bologna.
There you go.
Never.
Those are my two go-tos. Now there's Miggs here in 96. It's also very good. but my two go-tos are usually Cheeseburger House or Derek's, depending on what you're in the mood for. But it's hard to beat that fried bologna sandwich at lunchtime.
Very true. Awesome. We'll definitely put those on the list for next year for sure, Coach. So last one here for you. What are some goals for the 23 season for the Wildcats?
I think if we have gotten better every single day from now until we play our last game. And I told them today after 7-on-7, I said, make no mistake about it. The goal should be the same for every football team in the state. The goal should be 15-0. But every team can't go 15-0. Matter of fact, only 5 can in the classifications. But even then, very rarely does that happen. I don't know if we've ever had 5 in the 5. As a matter of fact, I'm sure we hadn't in the 5A era. Have never had them all go 15-0. But the goals, you got big goals like that. But to reach those, you got to have small goals like, hey, let's get better tomorrow. Let's get better tomorrow. We do Winter Wednesday here. It's big competition-based stuff we do after we lift before we go practice. I told them today after 7-on-7, I said, what our goal needs, our focus needs to be right now is come in here tomorrow and have a great Winter Wednesday and compete your tails off. If we've hit all our goals, if we're still getting better every day at the end of the year, because I think the good teams I've been fortunate to be a part of, I think we got better. I think we got better every day at Clinton last year. I think some of our best practices were the weeks leading up to the Upper State Championship. I think back to Tuesday, I think of Upper State Championship week was one of the best practices we had in 4 years. So, it's taking those little steps that lead up to a big journey, and that's just get better every day. So that would be our overarching goal, is to get better every day. We want to win every one of them we play. So that's the short and the long of it is let's try to win the next one. And right now we're staring down week 0. I talk about week 0 every day because I'm not worried about week 8, week 9, week 10. I'm worried about week 0.
Well, this has been great. Definitely all of our fans go check out Coach Bennett, the Wildcats program on Twitter and Facebook, et cetera. They do a great job posting highlights and, recruiting updates about their kids. Definitely go check them out on there. Like I mentioned, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at movingchains.com as well. And our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Moving the Change, what about Founders Federal Credit Union. Joe, anything else for Coach? We'll let him go today.
Oh, Coach Bennett, this has been a pleasure. Love talking to you today. Very charismatic, and your resume suggests that you were the right man for this job. Looking forward to see how you do with that 96 program, but I'm sure you'll be successful. Had a lot of fun following your offenses the last couple of years down in Clinton. Tell your wife again, you better tell her every day, thank you for letting you go there. But it's been very great to talk to you, and just looking forward to you, and just hope you guys have a successful, safe season this year.
I appreciate it, Coach. I thank you so much. I appreciate y'all having me. Anytime y'all want to come on and talk about our kids, I'd love to do it. I know. Which one of y'all are buddies with Ethan?
Both of us are.
I've never met two people that will both claim him at the same time. But, y'all need to get him back on here. That was the first time I watched y'all. I watched when y'all had Ethan on here. I think that was back when he still had long hair.
Yeah. But before the wedding, back then.
Yeah. Well, Erica made him cut that man.
That's right. That's right.
He's pretty good. He's a pretty good old boy. So I figured he said something about me when he was on here. I remember, so I was like, I got to make sure I shout out my boy, the Mr. Wolverine himself.
There we go.
Ethan Campbell. Y'all need to get him back on here. Maybe you get me and Ethan. You need to get me and Ethan on here at the same time. We'll talk about music. We won't talk about football. We'll just talk about music suggestions.
A little out of the box. I like it.
He's way out of the box. He'll be pulling out people you can't even find on the internet.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, we appreciate it. Look forward to stopping by sometime this summer or game next year, getting to meet you in person, and definitely checking you guys out there in the Wildcats. But best of luck this season. All right, Coach?
Y'all are always welcome. I appreciate it, man. Go Cats.
All right, appreciate it.